What is good, guys? This is Steven with All Talk On, and today I got another build for you guys. I don't know. I feel like this isn't exactly what I want to keep doing for YouTube. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm gonna keep putting up the builds, but at the same time, I kind of really want to branch out and to make some other random videos. The channel is called All Talk On, and honestly, I basically is what it says. It's all talk. I mean, of course, I'm actually waiting for a video camera to do stuff like that. Um, I mean, for recording and real life stuff, probably put my face up on the screen or something, as well as show you guys some tutorials and walkthroughs on building your PC and maybe do a few reviews or unboxing. I don't really care to do too much unboxings, but I do see the point of them. I have looked them up. Sometimes you want to just see what's inside the box. A lot of people don't get that, but it's like when you're buying something brand new, you want to see what it looks like when it comes out, what it's supposed to look like. And you don't want to go buying it and get it and be like, oh, this is awesome, but something was wrong with it, and you didn't know something was wrong. It came messed up or was missing parts, and you wouldn't necessarily know any better unless you were watching an unboxing and like, hey, I didn't get one of those and he got one, what's going on. So I do see the point of unboxing, so I might end up doing a few of them, especially with my little brother's builds, because there's a few parts on his build that I've really been looking for reviews and or unboxings or a little bit more in depth about what the product is, and I haven't necessarily seen them. So I guess I can use myself as a little test crash dummy, and basically when I build his PC, I'll end up buying those parts and give you guys a little walk around on what they are and how they work and yada yada. In fact, I've included one of the main things in this build, but basically right now we have a $400 small form factor mini ITX build, which I went Intel instead of the Athlon X4, because honestly I think the G3258 versus the X4 is just no competition. I know that the X4 has 4 cores, but the cores on this Intel are just intense, and that's how it's always been. So don't get me wrong, if it was comparing it to an FX 6300 or the 8-core processor, of course it's, a big difference. But when you're comparing this to one of AMD's 4-core processors, quad-core, it's just kind of a no-brainer. I mean, honestly, and the Intel one might actually be cheaper. I'm not 100% sure. I didn't really look. I think that the AMD one ran for probably around the same price. But one thing I have noticed is a large increase in parts prices. I've noticed that they're just racking them up. I mean, the Intel Pentium G3258 went up from $55 just a week ago all the way up to $70 or $68, so almost $70 for that right now, which is kind of ridiculous. As well as RAM, I've seen go down surprisingly about $3 to $4 to maybe even $8 on some certain sticks. I've noticed that the graphics cards have taken a leap as well. Just the other week, the R7 260X was only $100, and now we're looking at $120. So that took a decent jump, as well as the hard drives I've seen decrease a little bit too. Like right now, you can get a 3.5-inch 1 terabyte 7200 RPM 6 gigabit per second for around $45 now. So those have jumped. I don't know, those stay moderately priced. They usually only lose or gain $1 or $2, so you don't really notice. But I mean, the main things that I've seen change right now is the processors, and I mean all of them. Even the 8320 when I got mine was only 138, and now I think it's up to like 153 or something like that. Basically, they're just increasing the prices a little bit. It might have something to do with Black Friday, with the fact that the further they increase the price, the more of a price drop it's actually going to look like it took on Black Friday. Who knows? Or Cyber Monday. I mean, depends on who you're going through. I've also noticed the R9 270 as well as the 760 and the 750 Ti have all gone up fairly substantially. I mean, like $20 to $30. One of the main ones, 750 Ti, took a leap from like $105, it was like $100 in some places, $105, $110 in others. It's now about, I think, $129 or $139 depending on where you get it from, which is, I mean, that's a decent difference. I mean, you add $10, $20 to every part in your build and you're way over budget now. So I mean, that's one thing to keep in mind, as well as when I'm making these builds and when you guys are buying your own parts, keep in mind that prices change a lot. And in my opinion, if you really want to save money, buy a part while it's on a sale. Don't buy the whole PC at once, because you're going to end up overpaying $10, $20 on a few parts, because not everything is on sale at the same time. So just keep that in mind. If if I see the graphics card drop down to 110, I'll pick it up. If I see the hard drives drop down, $15, $10, I'll pick one of those up. But it does suck getting all your parts not at the same time. That is definitely something you don't want to deal with. But at the same time, if you're looking to save money, that is something you should probably look into. And that's about it for basically the little talking intro that I had to give you guys some information about. Anyways, we're gonna hop right in. This is a small form factor mini ITX build. I did one of these because you don't see a lot of these going around, but I mean, if you want a nice little LAN box that you can bring to your friend's house and pwn some noobs on or something, this is definitely something to look into. It's not too expensive, so moving it around isn't too big a deal. You're not worried about wrecking your $1,200 rig or messing up, with your water loops or whatever. You don't want to accidentally tip it over. This is in a box case, and it's very small, very compact. So it's definitely something to have to bring around to your friends' parties as even as a secondary computer, or you can go a little more expensive and make this your main computer. Why not? Anyways, we'll hop right into it. First things first is I chose the Intel Pentium G3258 because it's an 1150 socket, and if you really wanted to make this thing hardcore in the future, you can upgrade to an i5. That's one of the main reasons I like going with the Intel Pentium for a starter computer. That's versus going with a 4000 or even lower series AMD, and then later on jumping up to the FX 8320, 8350, or even 6300. It's not a bad idea. It is a cheaper route, but if you're looking to actually jump to decent performance, you want the top of the line gaming, this is where you can definitely start off with, because you can jump to an i5 right after, and if you want a gaming CPU, the i5 is where you should be at. Now this is, I don't know, everyone uses this. I've used it a lot. If you guys watch my other builds, you know a lot about it, but I'll go through it real quick. This is the Pentium G3258. It is on the Haswell architecture, and it's got dual core, and it's a 3.2 gigahertz, and it is overclockable. I'm not really going to get into the overclocking, but it is. You can look into that yourself. Next, we have the motherboard. I went with the cheapest one I could find, trying to fit the budget because of that expensive graphics card. Right now, like I said, it's about 20 bucks over what I had it at a few days ago. So it's taken a little bit of a leap, and because of that, I've had to, go for something cheap. But this will definitely get the job done with onboard USB 3.0. It is the ECS, never really even heard of them, H81H3 I/HDMI version 1. So it is running at $49.29. And it's a motherboard. It'll get the job done. It does support 1600 megahertz memory speed. So that's always nice to have that. And it's also got the SATA 6 gigabit per second ports. It's got 2 of them. So that's always nice to have that as well, especially with the drives, the hard drives that we want to run. Next, we have the RAM. I went with the Crucial Ballistics, I think, or something like that. I don't know. Ballistic Sport. I wanted to go something really low profile. And that is because with these small motherboards, there can be clearance issues with certain things with the RAM, as well as a lot of low profile coolers have a lot of trouble with clearance with the RAM being too tall with those heat sinks. So I went with 4 gigabytes of this 2x2. Cast latency of 9. So they're fast, they're good, it's good RAM, you know what I mean. You're not going to have a problem with this. I wanted 8 gigs. It's just not really going to fit in a $400 budget. It's really hard to fit that in there without cutting something else out of the line. But basically, in a small form factor build, you got to take into account that you can't always put a big cooler in there, and it's also really hard to find cases that support water cooling, that have the small little heats, the little top of the water cooler that plugs onto it, the pump part of those closed loops. It's easy to fit one of those in. You don't have to worry too much about clearance for the RAM. But as far as putting in a actual low profile fan heatsink cooler, they can definitely get in the way with the RAM. So just keep that in mind when you pick your RAM. That's why I went with low profile. So next we have the Seagate Barracuda 1 terabyte 720 RPM drive. It's only 3 gigabytes or gigabits per second. I wanted the 6 gigabit, but once again, I'm already $4 over budget, and I was definitely not trying to go any further. So I definitely went with the slightly slower version of this, but honestly, it'll work just as good, and it is 1 terabyte, so you have plenty of room. Um, and I mean, it's just your standard hard drive. There's nothing really crazy about it. Anyways, next we have the graphics card. I went with the Asus Radeon R7 260X. This is one that I have used in several of my builds before, and that is because it is a really good cheap card, or really cheap good card. I mean, whichever way you want to put it. There is a mail-in rebate with it, so you can definitely get it for $113, but without the mail-in rebate, which I'm not including, it is at $120, which is, like I said, is $20 more than it was a little while ago. So it's kind of crappy that it has to work like that. But I mean, this is definitely a great graphics card. It's definitely a great entry-level graphics card, as well as it will definitely keep up with some gaming. I mean, you'll be able to run 1080p with this thing, no problem. I mean, like I said, depending on the games, you're going to have to lower some settings, maybe do a mixture of low and medium, or medium and high, depending on the game. But you'll definitely be playing games at 1080, and there are a lot of older games you can use this on and max the settings out, no problem. But as far as newer titles go, it's going to be a lot harder. But like I said, for entry level, for how cheap it is, fitting it into the small form factor, cheap build, had to be very, very conservative with it. I did want a 270, but it wasn't in the budget. But yeah, it's I mean, 2 gigabytes of GDDR5, a core clock of 107. So I mean, it's not bad. It's definitely a good card. I have nothing bad to talk about it. Probably end up using this or a 270 in my little brother's rig. Not sure yet, but I mean, I guess that's just going to depend on the price spikes. Hopefully I can get it for cheaper. But anyways, next we have the case. This is the case that I'm actually going to use for my little brother's build. This is the Thermaltake, what is it, Core V1? Okay, so I'm going to go through real quick and talk about this case, because I've seen a handful of unboxings, a handful of crappy hand cam with a cell phone builds that weren't technically gamer builds, and that's about it. There really isn't too much you can find on this. You can find pictures of people building cool stuff in it, but you can't actually find anyone building anything in it. And this is the thing I really wanted to be a test dummy. This is one of the main reasons I wanted to make this rig for my little brother, was because I wanted to build in this computer, or in this case. It's doesn't come with the windows like in this picture right here. It's got windows all the way around. Maybe you can order them like that, but honestly, that's not how it comes. It does come with the top window though. It has the top window. The whole thing does come apart, and the cool thing about this are the edges of it actually come off, and you can switch them around. So say you have the mesh metal sides on the sides of it for airflow, and the glass on the top. You can actually switch the glass to the side and put that metal mesh part at the top. It is definitely interchangeable. As far as rotating it around, you can't really do that. Well, actually you can. Actually, I hate to say it, yes you can. You can rotate the bottom to a different area if you wanted. But the issue with that is the Thermaltake sign does not rotate with it. So, I mean, that's, something you have to deal with. I think it comes with a 200mm fan in the front for the airflow into it. And it's honestly, it can fit some pretty damn big graphics cards in there, which is another reason why I didn't mind it. It's got a maximum video card length without drives of 10 inches. And if you take the drive cages out, though, you can get 11.2 inches, which honestly, I might take my little brother's cages out of there, because I will be using a 2.5 inch 500 gigabyte regular hard drive, not an SSD. It's going to be a regular hard drive, but it's going to be a small laptop hard drive. And I don't know, I've always liked them. They're super tiny. They generate, I don't know, they feel like they generate less heat. Like whenever I have them in compared to a regular size 3.5 inch hard drive, they definitely feel cooler. So I'm definitely going to be using one of those in his build, and probably put it in one of the SSD slots, or just pin it to the side of the case. I don't know. But yeah, that's this case. And like I said, I will be, once I get my camera and stuff, I will be posting the video of building this case. And mainly because, like I said, I don't see anyone else really doing it, and it deserves to be built in. It's an awesome looking case, and it's only $47.99 right now, which $10 mail-in rebate, but without the rebate, $47.99. NCIX US has it for $44.99, but you know, depending on which route you want to go, I'd probably go with Newegg's. It's only $1 more, free shipping, so because like I said, if it's only $1 more, might as well go with Newegg. But anyways, that's the case. I think this case is awesome and it's relatively cheap. I wanted something that could fit a decent sized graphics card, not like an HTCP or whatever, or PC or whatever, the home theater computers. I didn't really want one of those. They don't really fit graphics cards in them too well. Plus I wanted one with a window as well as having ventilation on it, because I know a lot of the ones that they have out there is just a box with no ventilation, and it's like, that looks so horrible. It looks so hot in there, you know. And yeah, that's the case. The Thermaltake Core V1. So next we have the power supply. Last we have the power supply. It is a EVGA 430 watt, 80 plus efficiency. I did go cheap on it. I needed to fit it in. I mean, that's, you know what I mean? That's all I could do. As you can see right here, it's got a rebate, but once again, I didn't count the rebate. It's $39.99 without a rebate. And, you know, I don't know. It's just a 430 watt EVGA power supply. It is more than enough that you're going to need for this build. And that is basically this little build right here for this Intel Pentium ITX build. And it is super tiny. I think the case is only about, it's like a 10-inch square, you know, 10 inch by 10 inch by 10 inch, roughly around that area, which is, I mean, that's going to save you a lot of space. Like, I always look at my desktop or not desktop, my tower. I have a Phantom 240, and it's a mid tower, and it definitely takes up a large portion of my desk because I do have it on my desk. It actually does not fit underneath my desk because where I wanted to put it has like a little drawer area there, and it's not going to fit that tall of a case because the top sticks up. So I had to put it on top of my desk, and it's definitely pretty tall. If I want to use the USB ports on the top, I got to stand up. So this is definitely a nice conservative, space conservative area PC. Definitely would be awesome to show up to a LAN party with one of these things and look really cool. So that's my ITX build for you guys there, and you know, basically run with it, man. Do whatever you guys want with it. You want a better motherboard, one with maybe with Wi-Fi, which is what I will be doing with my little brother's. It's going to have Wi-Fi because we don't feel like running Ethernet cords around. So I'm going to get him a motherboard with Wi-Fi. His is actually looking to cost about $150 more than this one because I am going to go with the better motherboard. I am going to go with 8 gigabytes of RAM, as well as I'm looking to go with that 270X, as well as an 80 plus bronze, probably the Corsair 430 watt CX semi-modular version for less wires. So I mean, like I said, you guys can definitely do a lot better or a lot worse, you know, whichever way you want to go. See, for me and my little brother's build, I don't have to buy a hard drive because I already have a handful of hard drives. So because of that, you know, I get to spend $50 towards something else and still hit the same price. Anyways, this is the micro ITX build or mini ITX build I built for you guys. Yeah, that's all. And this is Steven with All Talk On, and I'll catch you guys later.